Hey, let me check in with Edgar Rice Burroughs and the Fighting Man of Mars, another in the Barsoom series. I think number 6 or number 7. I can't remember right now. And this story is actually narrated by the protagonist of the last story, Ulysses Paxton, who is relating the story to Earth via this sort of super radio, which is apparently a crossover with Burroughs' Pellucidar series. But though Paxton is so supposedly narrating it, telling the story, he's telling the story of Ten Hatter of Hadron, a lowly Padwar who has fallen in love with the daughter of kind of sort of minor nobility, a princess, Sonoma something, Sonova God, Sonova Tar or something like that, who is kind of haughty and disdains him, and she gets kidnapped. So it's another princess in peril story, and he goes off searching for her. And you think, oh, it's going to be another one of those stories. But along the way, he has rescued another Martian girl, a slave girl, Tavia. And he, somewhat to his surprise, finds that on their kind of long trip together, and then when they have to kind of huddle in a secret passageway in the section I'm reading, that they really get along together. They really like chatting. They really, the time passes really quickly. And it's like, wow, Edgar Rice Burroughs is writing this story where this Tavia, who is like kind of really, she's an action girl. She's actually kind of does stuff and she has ideas. And it's like, oh, he's known, as he says, he now knows true friendship with this girl. And it's like, they actually have a good relationship, and you can say like, oh, we're actually not going to have a princess. I mean, he's probably still going to rescue the princess in peril, but maybe it's not going to be her. Now, when he rescues her, he says like, oh, well, I'm an escaped slave from the very city you're going to, and I know that if we just go there as is, we'll just get immediately imprisoned. What we do need to do is go back to my old city where I had been stolen from, and I've got friends there, and then go to the city. They go there. Unfortunately, they go there in one of the enemy's stolen flyer ships, which is painted a strange color. And what he finds out is that the ruler of the guy that's taken the Princess Sonoma has developed a disintegration ray, which he's such a coward. He's like, well, I don't want to use it unless we've got a counteraction for it. And they actually figure out a counteraction for it fairly quickly, which is painting stuff with this special paint, this special color. And he goes like, oh, well, then I also need a lot of ships, because he really doesn't want to do attacks. He's really very cautious and very, as you know, the super martial world, cowardly. So they fly with one of these ships, which they're all too aware of. They are taken prison of. He is sent down to prison. She is sent to basically his harem, and it's like crap. And he's locked up with a political prisoner, Nur-An, who his dream girl has been taken away from him by this guy, and they of course manage to escape. They're sentenced to the death first, and the death really to me sounded like, oh, this is a thing from Jabba the Hutt, this pit that people are thrown into. It's got this evil some kind of monster there, which you'll basically be digested in his stomach for decades and centuries. You're kept alive, but always in complete agony. And this is exactly how they kind of describe it. But they escape. they get to Tavia, and then they find a slave, a girl in the a girl called Fghtng in the in this dude's things, but it turns out that she and Nur-An know each other, and she was actually his very original love. So there's another love thing here, and she leads them to the to Tavia, which he reunites with Tavia, and he really knows, like, I really like Tavia, and this is where they have a kind of a bit of a time in this secret passageway. And really they like to talk. They like to be in silence with each other. It's just really wonderfully done. Unfortunately, Fghtng takes him back up, and it's like, okay, we're going to hide here, and you guys hide here, and I'll bring you out once everything's quieted down. And she does so, but unfortunately, the evil, sadistic guy sussed out their plan, and they're all captured, and Nur-An and Ten Hatter of Hadron, or whatever the hell it is, are lowered into this pit where they can hear all this moaning and wailing. And I thought, okay, now we're going to get, all these people being slowly digested by this horrible monster. But that's not the case. It turns out that this is just something that everybody above seems to have imagined, inferred. What it turns out to be is an underground river that makes all these kind of odd wailing noises. But that said, they get lured into river. They swim to a shore. It's phosphorescent, kind of lit up. They're attacked by a great white lizard, and they find this. They run off from it. They see this white mound in the distance. After finding all these discarded swords all over the place, I'm like, oh, what's the white mound? And another kind of great Edgar Rice Burroughs horror bit as they slowly come up to the white mound. Indeed, it is a pile of skeletons. It is all the skeletons of this lizard. The lizard attacks again, and kind of anticlimactically, Hadron is able to do a perfect dagger throw, and goes right into the poor thing's mouth, like pinning its tongue down and jamming in its upper thing, and they basically hack it to death. So they head out. They find that this river actually does come to the surface, which is very odd for Mars, and it's like, you think this would be found out before. And it's this little valley which is ringed by super high cliffs, and it's all this lush kind of lush scenery, and it's like Edgar Rice Burroughs is really good at his landscapes, and it's really kind of presented as this kind of weird Martian Eden, like of a prehistoric, before the fall, before it's became the desert planet, because Barsoom is a fallen, dying planet. But this seems to be like kind of almost like a snapshot of what it was like beforehand, except that amongst all the trees and stuff like this, there are thin, gossamer, but extremely strong threads. Spider threads, it seems. And indeed, yes, there's all these 12-legged spiders who attack, but can only be on the threads of the spider web. If they fall off it, or if you hack the things, they fall on the ground and are helpless, and you can chop it. But there's like tons and tons of them, and so they are trapped in here. And this is where I've left the story. So yeah, I'm slowly working my way through the Fghtng Mn of Mars. I figure I should start doing little check-ins just to remind myself what the hell's going on, because I'm taking so long between. I think I should be able to get through a lot in this last week of September, because I just have Hamlet to read the next week, even though most of the time I've only been getting the last couple of weeks, I've only really gotten one play done at a time for Shake Tube. But I think I hopefully we'll be able to kind of focus and get all that done. So yeah, that's my check-in for Edgar Rice Burroughs, the Fghtng Mn Men of Mars. More videos later.